We've all been there, haven't we? That sort of cold, sudden feeling, betrayal, or maybe feeling really misunderstood or, facing opposition when you least expect it. It can just leave you feeling exposed, vulnerable, and kind of wondering how on earth you navigate that. How do we find strength or even hope when things feel like they're falling apart? Well, today we're doing a deep dive into an ancient text, Psalm 54. And what's really interesting is how relevant it still feels for our lives right now.
It really does. This particular psalm, it's attributed to King David. And the context is, well, it's pretty intense. He's technically been anointed king, but he's being hunted relentlessly by the actual king, Saul.
Right, so he's literally hiding out.
Exactly. Hiding in the wilderness, running for his life. And then the Ziphites, people from his own area, maybe people he expected some loyalty from, they betray him. They go straight to Saul and tell him where David is.
Wow, that's rough.
It is. And it's out of that moment, that feeling of betrayal and danger, that Psalm 54 comes. It's this raw prayer for protection.
So our mission here is to unpack David's prayer, pull out the wisdom inside it, and then, crucially, see how we can apply it today. How it can help strengthen our own trust, our relationship with God. Okay, so let's unpack this. David kicks it off with this really immediate plea. Save me, O God, by thy name, and judge me by thy strength. It's so direct, urgent.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is how he appeals. It's not based on, I've been good or I deserve this. He appeals directly to God's character, his name, his strength.
And his name meaning more than just a label, right?
Exactly.
Right.
In that culture, a name carried the weight of reputation, essence, power. So David's leaning entirely on who God is, his justice, his faithfulness, his power, not on himself or his circumstances. That really sets the tone.
Okay, and then he shifts to his enemies. He says, "For strangers are risen up against me, and oppressors seek after my soul. They have not set God before them." That feels personal.
Very personal. And that line, they have not set God before them, it's key.
Yeah.
It suggests they're acting without any regard for divine principles, for what's right. They're focused on their own agenda. And that brings up a point for us, doesn't it? When people around us, colleagues, maybe even friends or family, act that way, ignoring principles, it feels like a deep betrayal. But the psalm shows, even then, God remains faithful.
But David doesn't just stay in despair. He pivots. He declares, "Behold, God is mine helper. The Lord is with them that uphold my soul, even while he's in trouble."
Right. And then he expresses this bold faith in God's justice. He shall reward evil unto mine enemies. Cut them off in thy truth.
It's like he's declaring victory before it happens. But isn't that hard, to trust God with justice when you really want to, get even yourself?
Oh, absolutely. It's human nature to want to settle the score. But David models something different here. It's like trust before deliverance. He's praising God for salvation as if it's already a done deal, even while he's still being hunted.
That takes profound faith.
It does. And by entrusting the justice part entirely to God, he avoids getting consumed by bitterness or revenge. It frees him up. It aligns him with God, which is ultimately a place of strength, not weakness.
And the psalm wraps up with this promise of gratitude, looking forward. "I will freely sacrifice unto thee. I will praise thy name, O Lord, for it is good, for he hath delivered me out of all trouble." He's sealing it with praise.
Exactly. And that gratitude piece is vital. Thanking God after he acts honors him, builds our faith history. But David also shows this sort of preemptive gratitude, praising God in advance.
Okay.
That mindset keeps hope alive when things are tough. It's an active demonstration of trust, looking towards God's eventual goodness.
So let's bring this home. What does this mean for us today? How do we apply these ancient insights to modern life to deepen our walk with God?
Okay, well, first big takeaway. Relying on principles, not popularity. David appealed to God's name, his character, not public opinion.
Right.
Think about it. In your workplace, maybe there's pressure to go along with something that doesn't feel right. Or online, the pressure to just react or conform. This psalm encourages us to anchor ourselves in God's unchanging nature and what's right, not just what's popular or easy. That builds real trust.
That makes sense. Anchoring to something solid. And that must be especially important when dealing with betrayal.
Definitely. Which leads to the second point, resilience in betrayal. When people turn against you, friends, colleagues, like the Ziphites did, it shakes you. Our identity can feel tied up in those relationships.
Yeah, it hurts.
It does. But Psalm 54 reminds us our ultimate security, our core identity, comes from God, not from other people's loyalty. Realizing that helps us process the pain without letting it define us. It strengthens our reliance on Him.
That's really freeing, actually, knowing your security isn't totally dependent on others. So how do we capture that confidence David had, even mid-crisis?
Well, that ties into the third application, practicing preemptive gratitude. Like David, praising God before the rescue. We can choose to thank God before our situation fully changes.
Even when it feels counterintuitive.
Especially then, it's not denying the struggle. It's actively choosing faith. Say, okay, God, I don't see the way out yet, but I trust your character, your goodness. It shifts your internal focus from despair to hope. It really demonstrates trust.
Okay, shifting your mindset. Got it. Now, what about that urge for revenge? David had enemies, but he handed justice over to God. How do we do that?
That's number 4, letting go of revenge. It's tough. Workplace conflicts, family arguments, online attacks. The desire to hit back is strong. But David's example, he shall reward evil, shows surrender. And trusting justice to God frees us. It stops bitterness from taking root. It frees up so much energy. And honestly, it aligns us more closely with God's heart, deepening that relationship. When you let go of needing to personally settle the score, you make space for peace and for God to work.
That's huge. Hard, but huge. Okay, and finally, David's promise of praise after deliverance.
Right, the 5th application.
Yeah.
Marking moments of deliverance. When you come through something tough, when a prayer gets answered, don't just rush on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Pause.
Acknowledge it.
Exactly. Make a conscious act of gratitude.
Right.
Journal it. Tell someone just take a moment to thank God. This honors him, yes, but it also solidifies your faith and makes your relationship more tangible. Each marked moment builds your personal history of God's faithfulness.
It becomes like an anchor for the next storm.
Precisely. You build this reservoir of trust based on experience.
Wow. You can really see how these applications, all drawn from this ancient prayer, directly build a stronger, more resilient relationship with God, reinforcing that He is our helper. Just like He was for David, He's there for you too, right in the middle of whatever you're facing.
Absolutely. This deep dive really highlights these timeless truths about God's character, his steadfastness, and it gives us really practical ways to live out our faith, especially when facing tough times like betrayal or opposition. It turns an old prayer into a living guide for trust.
So we've seen how David's prayer in Psalm 54 offers this powerful roadmap for navigating betrayal and opposition, and how his approach can genuinely transform our own hard experiences. Now, the question we want to leave you with is this: how will you apply this information in your life, maybe even starting today?